On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, let's go to CBGB with Dick and Jayne.
While we're at a tiki bar, but don't be ordering whiskey there. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And we are going to talk about Season 10, Episode 9, The Things We Left Behind.
Yeah, especially when you didn't put like a tracker tag on them or an air tag or...
And things get lost. It's weird, right?
Find my phone.
Which, by the way, is a stress since I've stopped wearing my watch. Like, I have to feel like I have to pay close attention to where I put my phone because I've got kind of dependent on just making my phone ding, and now I just have to keep an eye on my fucking phone.
Well, I mean, the thing is, even if I'm not wearing my watch and I lose my phone, typically I lost my phone in my house, so then I just go get my watch and I ping it.
Yeah, I got in the bad habit of putting it on a shoe shelf while I was in the closet picking clothes out, or in a shoe, which is very. I have a shoe rack, and I would set it in, or not like I'm crawling on the floor and shoving it in a shoe, but I would set it there, and then I pick out my clothes and I walk out of my closet, and I'd be like, "Fuck, where's my phone?" And it's tucked in a shoe, so it's not super obvious. It's a terrible idea. I stopped doing that.
Yeah, that seems like a
not useful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, what have you been up to since we recorded last?
Well, I think when we last recorded, we were talking about how we were going to the same show, but in different places. So
yes, you
went to the show first. So you should talk about, I guess, your experience, and then we'll do our versions. Oh,
well, I went to see the show at Trees in Dallas, and I got to see some adorable. That's rude, and I don't want to be talking down about some young men in a really cool band called Toxic Madness, and I give them kudos for rocking out and trying to keep the scene alive, one of those things. And then, but yeah, the Drowns are so fucking good. I had not gotten to see them live. I missed them last time they came through Dallas. So, and I like their music, and you had raved about what a good show they put on, and you were not wrong. It was one of the best live bands I've seen in a hot minute. Super good. Stoked about it. Bought a t-shirt, all the things.
No.
And they gave out flexi discs. Did they have those at the merch table when you were there? Do you remember those? I don't even have.
Yeah, no, I know they have them. Yeah, those are cool.
I was so I obviously I work around music industry people. I've talked about that. So I took it to work, and everybody was tripping the fuck out because people were oh my God, musician. Then it was I've been trying to find someone to make these, and anyways, the whole thing. So no, they were amazing. Lower Class Brats did their Lower Class Brats thing, and then the Coffin Cats sounded great. That's my comments. And then we went home, went to bed because it was a weeknight.
Yeah, and so when I went to the one in San Antonio, something happened. I don't know. And the line outside the venue was well over 30 minutes long. I missed almost all of the Drowns. I missed my favorite song. Then I saw the Brats, and I thought that was great. And then I just texted my best friend in Austin and said, I am coming to the show tomorrow because I would like to see the actual Drowns. So I actually then went and saw the show again in Austin and managed to see the Drowns. And the thing is, when she says Lower Class Brats did the Lower Class Brats thing, them doing them in that venue, which is It's right by like the place we used to hang out. But I mean, it's like the first, like they've been playing there for 30 years. I've been seeing them for 30 years.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people show up that show who were like from our 1995 punk rock scene. So we had like that ended up being a little reunion, and that was great. And I got overly excited, and I was not drunk because I cannot swallow, can't keep alcohol down that much. But I was overly excited and running around in a pit, and then got knocked like really hard on my ass. And then,
and when you say that, I've seen the photographic evidence of like full on landed on ass.
Yeah, my ass looks like I was flogged. It was black
like
and
a
blue.
Doppler radar.
Yeah, it's
bad storm.
And then it started looking like a moon. It's like the dark side of the moon, like coming underneath it. So, it's a thing. So then I got to travel across the country and go into ship with a busted ass. And so that was fun.
To go to more punk rock shows.
Yeah. What?
To go to more punk rock shows.
And then I saw all the bands. I'm not even going to list them. If you want to see all the bands I saw, go look up who played the Flogging Molly Cruise this year. But it was lots of fun. I fondled a Stingray, and I think we're married now by Stingray law. By where I touched her. But so I've now snorkeled, on that reef in a lot of places. But so I snorkeled. I didn't get sunburn, which I always feel like
it's impressive. That's a win.
Yeah, I'm also still kind of really pale. So, but I was outside. Like I watched a lot of bands played on the pool deck. So I watched bands like outside. I just was like really cautious about sunscreen. So I'm still really pale.
That's good though.
Yeah. So, but good time was had by all. And now I am trying to get my land legs back and still have a knot in my ass.
Yeah.
So if anyone, I was about to say if anyone wants to volunteer to come rub it, but please, I'm not going to put that out there.
Please this not stay on the internet.
No, just not gonna. So, anything else? There hasn't been really any supernatural news or anything going on along those lines.
Yeah, not that I've seen.
Slowly, yeah, good. So we are slowly marching into spring, and I will say they are selling tickets for the Supernatural cruise. If you want to go on that, I think it's like $1,500. I think is like, I don't know, but you get a full cruise. You get almost all the cast members, except for Jared and Jensen are not going to be on it. But so that's a thing that's happening. If you want to do that. It could be a lot of fun, honestly, because
it looks like a lot of add-ons though to do some of the stuff, and I thought that was an interesting model.
It's very creative. It seems like it's very creation though. I mean, it's a creation event that's on a ship.
That's true.
Yeah. So, anyhow, alrighty. So
I did not get to go on a cruise.
You did not. No,
I chose not to. I didn't say not get to, but I got to see some friends of ours and go. To a cool new bar in Dallas and get ready for a big concert. There's a big concert I'm going to this weekend at the Longhorn Ballroom for its 75th anniversary. It's the Longhorn Jubilee featuring the Toadies, Polyphonic Spree, Band of Heathens, Bob Wills, Texas Playboys, and more. And there'll be a steer. It's going to be cool. I got to meet him. I'm excited.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this in real time in February of 2020, whatever year is this?
2025 on Sunday, March 2nd.
Then go to that. If you're not, then,
no problem. No pressure.
Go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. And go pet a cow. Just,
yeah.
Find a cow and pet it. They like it. Trust me. So this episode.
Yes.
The Things We Left Behind, which is likely a reference to the Stephen King short story, The Things They Left Behind, which is about a man suffering survivor's guilt following the attacks of 9/11, which I have not read. I know, sounds like a upper.
Dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
We're good. I think I'm good. Yeah. All right. So this episode is season 10, episode 9. It first aired December 9th, 2014, and was directed by Guy Norman B. and written by Andrew Dabb.
Yeah, so we open with a dream scene of Dean having killed a bunch of motherfuckers. He's covered in blood. He is distraught. He is breathing heavy, and everybody's dead and covered in blood, and he's got blood splatter all over him. And he wakes up and he looks at the mark. So he feels like this dream sequence is influenced by the mark of Cain. We immediately then cut to Pontiac, Illinois, to the Youth Transition Center, aka Juvie. And a blonde teen girl is being brought in for shoplifting. And because she broke out or something, they're going to put her in isolation for 48 hours. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really good organization that's coming out that's about, helping out girls in incarceration. But Claire Novak is our girl in incarceration right now, and she gets put into a cell that actually doesn't seem that bad for solitary.
It's very large, and it's got one of those little punchy dudes. I
appreciate the punchy dude. The bed is fucking weird because it's the cot, but then there's this weird the mattress situation on it, strange. But
it's all weird. She's
also just beating up the walls too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And she's being watched by some staffers, and they're just, anyways, and they show us that some time passes. And then someone comes and informs her that her father is visiting. And we have an appearance by the one and only Castiel, aka Jimmy Novak, because this is our flashback scene now to Cass abandoning Jimmy Novak's daughter. Is that a best way to say it?
Claire remembering, I am not your father, right? And Claire remembers Cass, and Cass tells her that Jimmy is gone after an archangel ripped apart the vessel, because that shit just happens.
Yeah, it's real dark because it's she's just really hopeful. You can see it that that dad's back, and he's like, nope, not him. He's gone forever. Sorry. And anyways, but he does want her to know that her father's in heaven. She just really doesn't care. Just leave then. If my dad didn't come back, bye. Because Castiel took everything from her, and apparently we find out that after this, so when Castiel took over Jimmy Novak's body, and they said goodbye to the family, Mom dropped Claire off at Grandma's and went to find herself and has not come back since.
Yeah, so Jimmy's wife kind of sucks, right?
Yeah, what the fuck?
So she just abandons her kid. We're like, okay, well, that's weird. So Claire's been abandoned by both her dad and her mom, and then dropped off her grandmother's house, and now she's in child prison.
She's in child prison, which is what he calls it, and that's hilarious. Anyways, she's
child prison is not funny, but it's funny when Cass says it.
It is. And then apparently, since she's been in group homes and everything else, her grandma has died. She went into foster care, and now she's got no one. So
she's in the system spit her out.
Yeah. And Castiel's like, I'm so sorry. What do you need? And she's like, I just need to get out of here. So they are going to dress him up to pretend like the good dad and to get Claire out of juvie. Except that Sandy, who is the head here, is not buying this. She's like, where have you been, Dad? What the fuck? You just show up out of nowhere.
Which, in a way, I'm kind of glad at least this woman seems to be somewhat looking out for Claire, but really not. If Claire is I don't know. I'm you kind of
in her own way.
For, okay, at least you're trying. Someone's trying at least.
Yeah. And she's like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, I fight certain deadly threats to humanity. Which Claire clarifies is an exterminator, which is kind of funny. I was amused. Either way, she's going to try to Sandy's going to test Castiel, and is like, hey, how do I eliminate bedbugs then? And he said, sleep tight and try not to let them bite, and winks at her.
Which I think is a really good tip.
It's ridiculous. So, Claire's like, I know the law. You have to get me out or let me go with him. And this administrator's like, yeah, he's fucking lying. I'm responsible for her until she's 18. She doesn't need a friend. She needs a father. Bye.
Yep.
So we cut to the bunker where Dean is watching videos of the Three Stooges on his laptop, which tracks.
I'm surprised they don't have them on film in the bunker, though.
Right? That would make a lot more sense. You're right. How like projector playing at all times. Dean would be happy.
Yep.
As a clam. So, and Sam's delivering him a grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay. So this grilled cheese sandwich.
It looks really good.
Yeah. It is responsible for grilled cheesecake. So grilled cheesecake happened because when this episode, when he brings in the sandwich, one point in time, Robbie Thompson made a funny comment about cutting your darlings while he was live tweeting the show. This is according to the Supernatural Wiki. And later, Guy Norman B, remember the director of this episode, mentioned on the podcast with Winchester Brothers that the scene had been cut in length and originally showed Sam making the sandwich. And the fandom expressed outrage over this instance of Sam erasure. And where many of them got to be very critical of the episode's editor named James Pickle. And this then became known as...
Hold on. James Pickle cut the sandwich making scene?
He did. And
sorry. There's layers there.
Yes. And in an interview with the Super Wiki. And then so I'm not sure the Super Wiki became sentient and started interviewing people, but according to the interview with Super Wiki, James Pickle said, yeah, it was incredible. The scene was just Sam making a grilled cheese sandwich, and he could hear the Three Stooges playing on Dean's computer, and he just stopped making the grilled cheese and walked out. The camera was on the grilled cheese. It panned up to Sam. Sam was like, looks over his shoulder, like, what do I hear? And then walks out of the room. It was just like a few seconds. We needed time, and we cut it. The point of the scene is that when Sam comes out with the grilled cheese and is giving his brother a grilled cheese while his brother watches the Three Stooges. And it was a complete eye-opener as to the passion the fans have. I already knew they had passion, but I thought everyone would be, oh, a grilled cheese, who cares? But no, they exploded, and I was like, wow, that is powerful. I mean, that says a lot, and I appreciate it. That's passion. That's grilled cheesecake. Now you know.
Okay. I don't know what to do with all that. All right. Well, we see that, and you can tell that Sam is very worried about the mark of Cain. We cut back to the child prison where Claire is failing to sleep, but Castiel breaks in to bust her out.
Yeah, I would also be terrified if I was in child prison and all these noises started coming at my door. Oh, fuck yeah. Like, and I had nothing but like a little like inflatable thing.
Yeah, not much of a weapon.
Hilarious weapon, though.
We do flash back to Crowley's current headquarters, which are hell, like upper hell. It's very weird because we get to some stuff in a minute that's a little confusing later in the episode. I think that makes it a little confusing of the precise location, but it's upper hell, I think.
It's not lower Albert, but so Rowena is cuffed to a wall
still. Yeah. And another woman gets thrown in there, demon woman, and chained to the wall as well. And we've got Gerald, the demon, is now wearing a suit. And she's like, hey, I really need to talk to my son. It's been weeks. So it gives us our timeline here. And she says that she wants to apologize, which is interesting. At Sharky's, Castiel is watching Claire eat French fries, and he really wants her to eat a vegetable. Because I don't know, is he trying to like dad her? I don't know. It's weird. She tells him that ketchup is a vegetable. It's not, but okay. And she's like, by the way, you've changed. So she is observing some of the humanity that we've all seen over the years in Castiel's development. And she says that when she met him, he was stuck up and punchable, and he's nicer now, a doof.
Yeah, but no, she no longer wants to punch him in his stupid angel face.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I was very self-assured and righteous. And I realize now that there's not necessarily a righteous path. It's everybody's just trying to do their best. Which is nice. So he's like, so what do we do next? And she's like, I don't need to be babysat. Blah. And he's like, well, this is a terrible idea. You just like bust out of children's jail and we need child prison. And so we've got to figure something out. She's like, sure. Let's figure it out. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And we all know she's going to bolt, but Castiel doesn't because he's too naive. So, and she bumps into him as she's leaving and we're all like, oh shit, that's the television signal to, in addition to bolting, you are pickpocketing him. Mm-hmm. So when he goes to pay, obviously he doesn't have his wallet. And she is gonna run.
Yep, and she flags down a car and jumps in. That's smart. And she gets in as Castiel's after her.
Yeah, and which is kind of like sad. Like, is she like that desperate to get away from him? It's very weird, but maybe it could be upsetting. So
Sam also, is literally on the run from jail.
Yeah. Well, Sam and Dean meet Castiel at Sharky's. Dean is really annoyed that this is Cass's emergency. And he has a lot of jokes. And he's like, why? Wait, but also you never really cared about this situation before that you took Jimmy away from his family. Why do you care now? And Sam's like, also, more importantly, what's next if we find her? What happens? Like what? So he's like, look, I just need to know that she's safe. That's it. That's all I need to know. And so Sam's going to go check things out at the child prison. And Dean and Cass are going to wait to see if she shows back up, which is silly and just an excuse for Dean to eat at Sharky's, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just fine. Just like, why is she going to come back there? But okay. So, but Dean does want to talk to Cass and is like, what brought this on? Like, are you having a midlife crisis? Ha ha ha. It's like, there's some things you've got to let go. The people you've hurt or don't save. You just have to let it go. And Castiel's like, well, is that what you do? And Dean's like, absolutely not. I do the opposite. So, as we know. And he said, but Dean says, I'm not a role model. And Castiel says, that's not true.
Oh.
So Castiel's going to flip it and ask Dean how he's doing. And Dean's like, oh, of course, I'm great. Nah. And everybody knows he's lying because it's Dean and he has the mark of Cain. So he's obviously not doing great. But Dean's like, look, I've lost my black eyes, so that's a plus. Interesting way of reference his demonness. But he does still have the mark. And he asked Castiel very seriously to take him out if he goes dark again. He said, don't let Sam stop you. I cannot go through that again. Because he remembers all that stuff, and that's something we've kind of alluded to in a few episodes now, is that he remembers all the shit he did as a demon, but he has trouble, he's having real trouble, living with it. So,
yeah.
There you go. Back in hell. Rowena is trying to talk up this other chick about how she got to this place, because the other one's trying to escape, and she's like, yeah, it's not going to work. And they're like, oh, okay, well, what did you do? And she's like, well, I got smuggled up to this level because I did some really bloody shit. And Rena's like, oh, that's cool. I was just a horrible mother.
I think she was meaning about being smuggled up to Earth. That she was being smuggled from hell to Earth.
Right. She was trying to, and she got caught on the way.
Yeah.
Yes. And so at this level, she was getting smuggled. That's when she got caught. And Rena's like, cool, I was just a horrible mother. That's how I ended up here. Which is interesting.
And we learned she is such a horrible mother that she once tried to trade Crowley for 3 pigs. And he was a very attractive child, and he could juggle, and was definitely worth at least 5 pigs. Yeah,
because that's obviously his worth is higher than that. And he is just venting. Crowley is venting to Gerald about this. And Gerald's like, and then he shares that the other thing, that reason she's a horrible mother is because of his name.
Fergus, which is like an unfun venereal disease.
That's a very weird descriptor.
That's what he said.
I know. And Gerald's like just listening to all of this. He's like, by the way, I could just end her.
Well, Gerald also tries to bond with him by saying that his mom used to burn him with cigarettes, and Crowley doesn't really care. And so then Gerald's like, well, what if I just kill her for you? Because I also killed my own mother because of that cigarette thing. So, I think Gerald's just trying to be a team player and trying to be nice here.
Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening. So we cut from there and we go back to child prison / group home, whatever. And social worker warden lady is telling Sam that there was a boy who was connected with Claire who works at the Wiener Hut.
Yeah. So now we're gonna find out about Dustin. But first we cut to a house where Dustin is in his Wiener Hut uniform sitting at the dinner table, and Claire comes in, and Randy enters in his glasses and I don't know, he's just this dude.
He looks like a child molester. So Randy comes in and he's gross, and we all know he's gross. And Claire gives him Cass's wallet that we now officially know that she stole.
And she's like all excited because there's like $200 in there. And he notices the ID inside and sees the last name, and she lies and says there's no relation. But apparently the $200 in there is not enough, and she was expected to steal more. So this piece of shit was forcing her to go steal money for his debt to a loan shark because he claims he cares about his kids so much that he got just borrowed too much for Christmas, which we all know is bullshit. Mm-hmm. So anyways, he just shames her for not stealing enough to pay down his debt. And I get grossed out and mad.
Yeah, he's gross.
So we're going to have one last family meal. But they do have one last ditch effort that, since she's under 18, they could try.
Yeah. So that sounds great. So we cut from there to the street. And in the street, Sam stops Dustin.
Yes. And he has both Cass and Dean with him. Well, Dean's eating a wiener, so kind of with him. And they want to know Claire's location. So they have got their connection to find her. So we next cut to the convenience store where Claire is now in a black hoodie, walking through real sketchy looking. And we find out that Randy gave her a revolver, and they explain it's a quick in and out. Just avoid the cameras, make sure there's no one else in the store, just scare the clerk, and then get the money and come home, and we'll save the family. Yay. But because she's under 18. So, anyways, Castiel intercepts her before she's able to do anything, and she's very upset and tries to leave him. But Dean shows up and calls her Miley Cyrus, and she immediately refers to him as Hasselhoff, which I was like, I appreciate this exchange.
It's going to sound really bad when I say this, but Dean always has really good exchanges with the teenage girls. So, okay.
Well, because I think he's got the pop, well, he gets into the pop culture jokes and like the, he's a little immature. Dean can be a little immature. I think that's right. Anyways, Sam tries to introduce himself, but she's like, yeah, I remember you, so don't fucking bother. And, Cass asks if she was going to rob that store because that's the wrong thing to do. And she's like, what the fuck? You killed my dad. I don't know what you're talking to me about what's right and wrong. And Castiel tries to defend himself, but she points out that without Castiel, her dad would be there and her mom would not have run off. And so Castiel tries to kind of approach her, but she points the gun at him. And he's like, yeah, that's, I understand you're upset, but that's not really going to do anything to me. And so she's like, fine. And she points it at fucking Sam and Dean. Says they have it coming. They stood there while a monster, very interesting that they use that word choice, took her dad. And then everyone just looks really sad. Gold star to the writers for using that terminology for the story here. I think it was important. Anyways, and Clara says that she prayed to Castiel every night and begged him to bring her dad home safe. And Castiel heard those prayers, apparently. And he tries to apologize. Sam tries to explain that Randy's using her, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, but he was there when no one else was. And so y'all should just go to fucking hell.
And then we cut to hell. And in
terrible.
hell, Gerald comes for Rowena.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't know why, like her power play is that she's going to keep calling Crowley Fergus because he hates that.
And she's calling him that out of spite. And she's just trying to piss him off because she's funny.
Well, I mean, I get that. But she also seemed quite unhappy chained to a wall. So, But anyway, she says that she was a bad mom because she wanted to motivate him to be better. That was it. And wants to know how he died. And Carly's like, you hated me and you abandoned me at 8 years old. So I don't know what you're I have no father. And she's like, well, of course you have a father. You were just conceived at a winter solstice orgy and I wasn't taking names.
I mean, that shit happens. Sometimes, like, you just don't know. Like, it's an orgy. You just don't, things, so many dicks and, anyways. So she had to leave because she had a disagreement with the locals. But she's there with him now and they can be a family and she can help them. And she will always be his mother.
Yeah, you can trust her. Totally. And then she goes and kisses him on the head and he looks pissed.
So then we cut to a tiki bar where these dumbasses order fucking whiskey.
I'm so mad at this scene. I thought of you immediately. Wait, I think about you when I watch the show, obviously. But in this scene, I was like, this is bullshit. I'm personally offended. I love whiskey. I love tiki bars. I don't order a fucking whiskey at a fucking tiki bar.
That's why that bartender looked at them like that. That bartender was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yes. He looked at them like they were stupid because this order is stupid. Yep. Don't blame them one bit. Oh, so mad. And then I wanted to go to a tiki bar, but also when I was watching this, I'd had like a tiki drink the night before, so I did not need one. But anyways.
I always want to go to a tiki bar. This looked like a really good tiki bar. It looks like I would enjoy it.
It did. Well, Castiel is upset. He's like, Claire's right. This is her issues are because of me. That's it. And I need to figure out how to make it up to her. And Sam's like, so, a father is everything to some people. And I don't know if you may or may not be able to do that. And so Cass asks if they loved their father.
Dean Winchester. Did you love John Winchester?
And he is pretty honest, and he's not going to win a Dad of the Year award, but he was there when they needed him. Let's Anyways, and then he tells a story.
Yeah, and Sam is just like telling about that time in New York, and Dean's like, well, we were doing this haunting on Long Island, and Dean was begging to go to the city, and John always hated the city, and he hated the Yankees, and so they convince them to go do their NYC thing. And when John and Sam fall asleep, Dean decided to sneak out and go to CBGB. Yeah. And we're going to talk a little something about that place known as CBGB, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be lore in Liz's way.
All right.
So I started off thinking that I was going to talk about the first shows the Ramones and the Blondie played at CB's because those were the bands that Cass mentioned in this episode. And while I will not be covering those topics, I will say two things. The Ramones did carry their instruments and paper shopping bags to that first show. And Debbie Harry was dressed like a quote-unquote jungle girl in leather skirts with patches of fur. And she was hot because it was Debbie Harry. But anyways, as the lore for the show often goes, I was looking for one topic and I got distracted by something else along the way. I was reading through Roman Kazak's This Ain't No Disco, the story of CBGB's, and read a throwaway line about a bar fight, and down a rabbit hole I went. This is the story of the Wayne County Incident. So, are you familiar with this tale at all?
I don't think so.
All right. So, I also caveat, I say, CB's was like one of my bars when I lived in New York. I was there when it closed. I love that place. They looked out for me. except when we couldn't smoke on the sidewalk anymore and they made us stay inside. And I had to watch the entire set of Flipper, and they made me watch the entire set of Flipper. Anyways, okay. So my main sources for this are the June 1976 article, War of the Gargantuas from Cream, written by Susan Whitehall, and the Jayne County autobiography, Man Enough to Be a Woman. Additional sources will be in the show notes. So we are going to be talking about the time a fight broke out on stage at CBGB between Jayne County and Handsome Dick Manitoba, ending with Dick in the hospital with a broken collarbone and Jayne in the fucking tombs. It's a story of boozed up or drugged up confusion, ending in violence that is worthy of any barstool. It's also problematic. The things both Dick and Jayne say about each other would get anyone canceled today, but history, and especially rock and roll, is problematic. That said, to get the story told without me having to say those things, and in the spirit of SPN, I will be replacing any egregious slurs in quotes with the word idiot. You can go to the original sources if you must know exactly what horrible words are being said. So, some quick backgrounds on our main characters. Jayne County. Her autobiography is fascinating and well worth a read or listen. As I said earlier, that is called, what did I say it was called? It's such a good title too. It is called Man Enough to Be a Woman. And so go check that out. And she does read the audiobook. She is most well known as the lead singer for the proto-punk, which I always think is a weird thing to call things, but proto-punk band Wayne County and the Electric Chairs. She was also a participant in the Stonewall riots. She is often touted as rock and roll's first transgender singer, but I always worry of calling anyone the first of anything, but she was definitely a punk pioneer. She was a big part of the Max's Kansas City scene, including being their house DJ, and was one of the few acts who played both Max's and CB's. Additionally, she is a playwright and actress of many theater of ridiculous productions. As of 2021, she was living in rural Georgia with 19 cats, a lifestyle I highly approve of. And also, while I was going through pictures on her website, realized my friend Gary plays bass in her band. So that is, So Ms. County Jayne is still alive. So don't sue me over anything. I'm trying to do this as close as possible. All right, the second one, Handsome Dick Manitoba. He is most well known for being the singer for the punk band The Dictators. He also owned the East Village dive bar, Manitoba's, which closed in 2019, in whose bathroom some band's lead singer once tried to get me to blow him by calling me a chicken. Did not work. Dick also had the show, The Handsome Dick Manitoba Show, on Sirius for 14 years, as well as he's had various podcasts. He's really good at pissing people off, as you will learn during this. He is still performing as Handsome Dick Manitoba. I saw him last year at Rebellion. He was very proud of his son, who's in the Air Force, which is, just right now, I think he's just being kind of a proud dad. But so he's still performing, and I'm going to give you the story from both of their points of view, and then y'all can make your own judgment on what happened and who was at fault. But I also just feel like once you and that's also kind of the glory of the story is this points of view. Like nobody's really sure what happened because everyone's drunk and fucked up, and that is how. I feel like that's punk rock, right? If there's anything that's going to express the feelings of being a CB's, I think it's a story. All right, so.
Chaos and being fucked up in chaos.
Fucked up in chaos. Not sure what happened, but yeah. But also rock and roll. So it was March 4th, 1976 at CBGB. And by the way, I will say CBGBs a lot. I know there's no S in it. It's just a thing. We all fucking say it. So fuck off. I will just add that S even though I know it's not there. Fuck off. All right. So everyone was having a good 1970s time. Jade was performing as Wayne County and the Backstreet Boys. The Backstreet Boys are originally a band that played with fucking Wayne County. That's what Jayne County's former name is. But yeah, and so it's doing such songs as Rock and Roll Enema. And I just want to have I wish there was the album Circumstance where the child picked up the wrong album and they went home with Rock and Roll Enema. Anyhow. That night, Jayne had also taken a bunch of Black Beauties, that is pill in speed form. Manitoba had been drinking, but wasn't terribly drunk, according to him. Jayne said he'd been hassling all the other groups. He yelled things at Johnny Thunders. You sucked with the dolls and you still suck. I cannot do his Bronx accent, but trust me, he's a very heavy Bronx accent. And I also cannot do Jayne's Southern accent. She's from Georgia. So she has a very deep Southern accent. I cannot do either of theirs, but I will probably try horribly and it'll be hilarious. So he was talking shit about the New York Dolls, and he was like, and with the talking heads, the little girl that played bass, he starts yelling her, hey chick, you can't play the guitar. You're just an idiot. She also said that he'd been calling Debbie Harry names the night before. So how things went that night, according to Jayne. While performing, she heard someone in the audience yelling, "Idiot, idiot, ah, you fucking idiot." The heckling continued. Jayne responded, "Who the fuck is that? Why didn't you come up here and say it, you fucking asshole?" And up came Handsome Dick Manitoba, who jumped on stage, spit in her face, threw ice, and called her an idiot. He had a beer mug in his hand, and she was afraid that she might get hit with it. So she took the microphone stand and started swinging while warning, "You better get off the stage and leave me alone or you're going to get it. You're an idiot. You're ugly. You can't get laid. So you come to CBGB's to hassle New York bands to get your rocks off." Which is a weird thing to say because being from the Bronx is kind of like his thing. But anyways, so then she hit him in the arm with the mic stand, and then he turned around and she hit him in the collarbone, and that broke his collarbone. Oh. Then he hit her in the chest. Yeah. Then he hit her in the chest with the beer mug. So like this is a glass mug. This is the 70s. So he punches her in the chest with the beer mug.
Ow.
Then she hit him in the back of the head. Then they wrestled. Then they fought on the floor while people chanted, "Finish him off, Wayne, kill him." Again, this is according to Jayne. Until Jayne was pulled off. Manitoba was tackled by the bass player, and they fell into the tables. The band started playing Rock and Roll Resurrection, and Jayne continued playing Covered in Blood while Dick was taken to the hospital.
I mean, that's very fucking rock.
Epic, right?
Yeah.
Also, according to Jayne, the fight was premeditated, as she had heard Manitoba told Danny Fields before it happened that he was going to go up on stage and smash that idiot. So that's Jayne's side of the story. How things went according to Handsome Dick Richard Manitoba. Right. He was going to the bathroom and it was real crowded. So he stepped up on the stage to get around people to the stairs. So like to get to the CB's is a small place, or was there? So the stage is like right next to the hallway / stairs that you have to go down to get to the bathroom. So if it's really crowded, people are up on those like stairs, like go, and you would like, so you've like kind of walk around people on stage sometimes to get down. That's just rock and roll. So
small club shit.
So he stepped up on the stage to get around the people, turned around, realized he was right next to Jayne, and asked if she wanted to see his spit trick, which was when he let his saliva get really thick and drip down 1.5 foot, and then he would suck it back up into his mouth.
Like junior high boys do? Or elementary school boys? Gross.
Yep. Cool. So then Jayne started screaming at him to get off my stage, "You idiot, ugly bastard." Manitoba says he didn't respond. So Jayne said, "What are you, a frustrated little idiot? What are you, a idiot or a idiot?" Which made Dick mad, who said, "Fuck you, you idiot. Fuck you, you idiot." Then he got smashed with a stand. When Susan Whitehall told Dick that Jayne said he spit in her face, he said, "I didn't spit at him." Jayne was still living under the name Wayne at this time, so he wasn't being that rude. So maybe they heard me say I was going to do my spit trick. I ain't a really violent person, so I had no intention of violence. Even if I had spat at him, which I didn't, that's no reason to smash someone over the head with a microphone stand. I should have been thrown out or assisted out by the bouncers. Assisted out by the bouncers. Then he went on to say that he did not attack Jayne because they were homosexual, but maybe that he was attacked because he was fat. So that's Dick's version of the story. So after the fight, days went by. Jayne, fearing that she was going to get arrested, cut her hair short, dyed it black, got a glue-on beard, a dark army jacket, and sunglasses, and went to her DJ gig at Max's dressed like that. And so everyone was like, "Is that Jayne?" And they're like, "No, that's a hippie we hired." I know. So, but finally, she was arrested and she was taken into the tombs dressed like that. She was immediately put into protected custody with another queen. They were like, "Oh no, you can't be with them." So she at least was like safe. Yeah. She was released the next night with assault charges hanging over her head. She gathered her defense and her witnesses over the next few months, including fucking David Johansen was going to testify for her. Like, what the fuck? So then Max's like had a benefit for her legal defense. And the people who played, oh my God, this is epic. Blondie, Robert Gordon, the Ramones, minus Joey because he was friends with Dick, Divine, Jackie Curtis, Holly Woodlawn, the New York Dolls, Mink DeVille, Talking Heads, and Richard Hell.
So all those people took Jayne's side instead of Dick's.
Yes.
Except for one member of the band.
Except for Joey Ramone. Yeah. So the charges.
I don't know. How would you feel about that? Like if you were like on the other side, like I'm not saying.
So this is what happened. So let me go through this and then we can talk about what's good. So the charges though were dropped because Dick failed to show up for court 3 times. Then people in the New York scene though, they really did like they were behind dictators were essentially kind of blacklisted from CBs for a little bit. They just went and played other places and they actually were still pretty popular. They got a lot of publicity from this. Right. So like then an album come out. So like while like you got a lot of shit in New York, like they still like got some things out of it. And I do believe that the two of them probably buried the hatchet as on June 13th, 2000, according to the news on her website. Jayne was to be joined on stage by Dick Manitoba at Squeezebox to duet California Sun. So I did not verify if that actually occurred, but right. That was supposed to happen. So, and also like they're rock and roll people. They're like, Dick's not an ass. Dick's an asshole, but an asshole is an asshole. But anyways.
Yeah. I was like, oh, if somebody like was in trouble because of something with me and they were able to put on a benefit with all of those bands, I'd be like, womp womp. I don't know.
Oh yeah, just like this is the people who are behind them, like what the talk. Well, you get the Talking Heads and the New York Dolls, and and I can fucking Joey Ramone.
I suck. Oh,
I didn't even get Johnny. I like a fucking Joey.
That's just fun. That's the part I was cracking up. But I'm like, damn. I'm like, maybe I was in the wrong. Like, I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, like, it sounds like neither, like, probably both of them were just fucking. Well, I don't know. It sounds like Dick was being.
They were all real fucked.
Like he was, but he was heckling and likely, it sounds like test of time will, like I wasn't there, right? So these are all people's drunk recollections of like how this shit went down. Right. And that's pretty much how every bar fight has ever been. Like it's just someone's, until now that we have fucking video of this. Like there is no,
gross.
Yeah, if this was today, like you could go on YouTube and go see what this fight was, but we'll never know.
On TikTok.
Yeah, all we will have, if it wasn't for Susan Weidels, like writing, like she was an amazing, by the way, rock and roll journalist and editor for Cream. But the fact that she got these interviews with them, like, I think is amazing. It was supposedly like in the Village Voice too, but I couldn't find that article in there. Huh. But
wild.
And yeah, I will send you the article from Cream that has the pictures, and I forgot, like, so. And if I would say for you guys, for shits and giggles, I would go look at pictures of Dick Manitoba in the 70s and Dick Manitoba now. And he had a lot of hair. He had a lot of hair in the 70s. I'm just saying. And now he does not. He's an old man. So, I mean, sorry, Dick. I didn't even call you old man. Whatever. So that is the story of.
That's hilarious.
That is our lore of CVs.
I like it.
I was hoping to find a good ghost story. I will say, like, with my last nights, when I was, like, at the downstairs bar, this butterfly, like, floated in and sat on my beard. It was, like, one of my last beers that I had there. And I was just like, oh, that's so sweet.
That's the sign of a spirit, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. So I couldn't find any stories of ghosts or hauntings. And I'm surprised, like, I mean, like, as far as I know, nobody died there. There's just like a lot of rat shit and dog shit because Hilly used to let his dog run around a lot. But yeah, there's lots of stories, but I couldn't find any ghost stories. But
interesting.
All right. So Jayne's story, though, was that he was underage. He snuck in, watched a band. They got him, like punk rockers got him shit-faced, and then John Winchester came in and
possibly drugged him, because we alluded to this. He might have gotten dosed.
Well, and there are all these stories too, like about like, especially depending on what year it was, like you didn't really want to drink a lot of the draft stuff at CB's. Like you just wanted your drinks in bottles and shit. And so people, yeah. And also it was like hard to do kegs there because of the thing is. But anyways, so he got drugged or drunk or something. And then like they all got scared of John Winchester and Dean got hauled out.
Yeah. And anyways, so Castiel does his shot, and basically they all realize that John saved Dean in this moment because he was a fucking kid and he had just gotten drunk or drugged or whatever at this, this club by himself in the big city, which is probably not a great
in the Bowery,
thing.
Which at this time, the Bowery was not that great of a neighborhood. It wasn't that bad. And honestly, like no one was back then. You wouldn't gotten enrolled, Dean. They would have taken care of you. They were probably just thinking it was really fun to get this kid shitty. But they all drink to John freaking Winchester for not being his job. Was not his job to be liked, but it was his job to raise you right.
Yeah. So and Cass is asking like, look, is Claire actually in trouble? And Dean's like, she's hanging out with a guy named Randy. She's definitely in trouble. Which also
definitely.
Sorry to the Randys.
Sorry for the Randy, but he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Nothing good comes out of hanging out with especially people who look like this Randy. Yeah. So we got back to Randy's house, and there Claire comes in to find Randy tied up
with 4 dudes standing around, and she does not have the money, and he is bummed. And there's like this one, the main guy, Salinger, and he licks his lips when he looks at her. And so we know that he is super fucking
They're all gross. They're all gross. I hate everybody in this house.
Super gross. And so she tries to pull the gun, and he's like, makes fun of it. But he also does accurately call Randy a pile of crap. So she spits in Salinger's face because she's not a complete dum-dum. And one of the henchmen takes her away.
Yeah, henchman's a good word for that. And Salinger says he married the last girl who spit in his face. And then we found out the real reason. Randy's in debt.
The ponies.
Ponies. I like ponies too. I mean, I would like, if you're like Liz bought $5,000 in tiny ponies, would you be surprised?
Absolutely not. I'm also like, I don't want to assume or presume or insult anybody's financial situation, but it seems like a lot of shit going on for 5Gs.
I mean, it was early 2000, like in early 2000, $5,000 in today's money, but it's
not 20,000. I don't know.
It seems like a lot of money to be practically killing somebody over, right? That's a lot of muscle for $5,000. I feel like $5,000 is like a one muscle person, like you said,
right?
One
like
guy over with a bat.
That's bust your kneecap.
That's a bust your kneecap and break your fingers, right? Like not murder you, not buy your daughter. Or your child, like I feel like that's an excessive amount for a teenage girl.
That was my issue.
I mean,
but also it says Salinger and Randy, and they're both sketchy as fuck. So who knows?
Yeah.
So because Salinger was gonna wipe away all of Randy's debt in exchange for Claire, and Randy like acts like he's not gonna do it, but he's definitely going to because he's a piece of shit.
No, of course, case. He's gross.
So, we cut back to hell where Gerald and Crowley are putting Rowena back in the dungeon. And she's trying to fight. And she's like, look, I know that Gerald is the one smuggling souls up to Earth from hell. And this other demon chick's like, fuck yeah, that's the guy. So Gerald is about to kill Rowena because he is pissed. He's like, what the fuck? I didn't do this. And he will not stop. So Crowley fucking kills Gerald.
He stabs him on the head. And now we've lost Gerald. And I like Gerald. I think Gerald should just had a better boss. I think he could have been a real go-getter if he just worked in a different department. So Gerald is gone. And
Crowley's going to let Rowena out.
Yeah.
And as he's letting her out, the other demon chick's like, hey, Rowena, we made a fucking deal for me to lie so you could get out. And so Rowena lies back to her and says, I'll be back.
I'll be back in a flash, which is what she said to Fergus when she left him as an 8-year-old boy and never came back. So
Gerald really wasn't doing that. Gerald's still kind of creepy.
I mean, he's a demon, though. I mean, his mom burned him with cigarettes. He had issues. So we cut from there and we go back to Randy's. And he just tried. I mean, he put a lot of effort in, you know? I mean, Gerald tried.
I guess. Well, in Claire's bedroom, Salinger enters and locks the door. Ew. And he touches her face. And so she kicks him in the balls and tries to escape because she's a smart girl. And sometimes. Street smart girl sometimes.
Yeah, but and then the boys like come in down the front and Cass is smiting away while the boys are pulling guns.
Yeah, and they're going to try to they hear the commotion. So Castiel goes and blasts away the door and finds creepy ass Salinger on top of freaking Claire with his hand on her throat. But this startles him enough that she's able to like kick him off of her. And then she just starts kicking the fucking shit out of him.
Good for Claire.
Good job, Claire. And Castiel kind of finally pulls her away and they go outside. And as Sam and Dean are also leaving, Dean hesitates because he's like, you guys don't move. And like, it's all like trying to make sure that the henchmen don't come after them. But that ends up with him alone in the house with the henchmen. And Salinger has recovered enough that he can sneak up and break a bottle on Dean's head. That's just all Dean needed to set him off. As everybody else gets in the car, Dean gets a full Mark flashback, and as he gets kicked in the head, things go black, and Sam all of a sudden realizes Dean is missing. What the fuck? You just noticed. Y'all are all in the car. You just noticed the driver's not there, but okay. And he hears all the commotion in the house, and we go into slow-mo. We get slow motion Sam running towards the house to get to Dean. And everybody dead. Except for Dean.
Yep, including Randy. So Randy's throat's been slit. Like, it's everyone's been massacred.
Yeah. And we are getting a little bit of a flash between this scene and the dream sequence, which they're not identical, but there are similarities. We're getting a flash between those two for Dean. And yeah. So, and then for some fucking reason, Castiel and Claire follow Sam inside the house. It's just a terrible idea because obviously it's a fucking mess and she screams. So Dean is just kind of like in shock, I guess. I don't know. And so Sam runs over and he's like, just tell me you had to do it. Tell me it was a you or them situation. Just tell me that. And Dean does not answer.
No, and he says, I didn't mean to. And, like, he says it in such a sad voice. And, like, he's so, like, it's so sad. And Sam is sad. And everyone's sad and, like, disturbed. And just like, what happened? Yeah, it's very gross. That's how it ends.
And, yeah, I don't like it.
No. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
You want to talk about some people? Some actors?
Yeah, let's talk about some people.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
You go backwards order. How about that?
Okay.
So one of our goons was played by Jason William Day. He's actually done a ton of stunt work from Van Helsing, Snowpiercer, Peacemaker, Last of Us, and Predator. He's been in episodes of Flash, Fargo, Lucifer, Van Helsing, Travelers, iZombie, Arrow, Batwoman, Charmed, Riverdale, and Kung Fu. He was also a soldier in Deadpool and Father Camera in Longlegs, which came out recently. The security admin guy was Ronald Patrick Thompson. He's been in episodes of Fringe, Arrow, Flash, iZombie, Travelers, Siren, Magicians, Supergirl, and a lot of Hallmark movies. Salinger, interestingly, most of his credits are special effects makeup and lab crew.
Nice.
Thomas Newman. So just kind of an interesting, not very many acting credits, mostly on the makeup, special effects makeup teams. Neat. Dustin was played by Jake Guy. He's been in episodes of iZombie and Good Doctor. Sandra, our admin at the child prison, was played by Jennifer Copping, and she's been in episodes of 21 Jump Street, Jag, Painkiller Jane, Fargo, iZombie, Van Helsing, Bates Motel, Travelers, Riverdale, and was Margaret in the movie Slither. Fucking Randy was played by Rourke Critchlow. He's been in episodes of 21 Jump Street, Friends, Charmed, Entourage, Drake and Josh, CSI Miami, The Mentalist, NCIS, Arrow, and Unreal. He was William in the movie Mr. Deeds. He's done a bunch of Hallmark. He was Paul Kenlett's in the the miniseries. He was Tom in Pretty Little Liars as a recurring character. And his longest running role was Dr. Mike Horton in Days of Our Lives, over 600 episodes. And a lot. So
that's a very big role.
Yeah, that's a lot. And then the one and only Claire Novak, played by Catherine Newton, who we will see again. She's been in episodes of Mad Men and Hacks. She was Chase in Bad Teacher, Alex in Paranormal Activity 4. Darlene in Lady Bird, Ivy in Pokemon Detective Pikachu, Allie in the Society series. She's been in that about 10 episodes. Abigail in Big Little Lies about 14 times. Cassie in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, big film. And most recently, Lisa in Lisa Frankenstein.
Oh, so good in it.
So good. That was fun. As soon as she came on, I'm like, wait a minute, I know who that is. Anyways, because it's the thing I've seen her in that most recently. So there we go. Yeah. What I said? My comment to you immediately was it was a weird episode.
It is weird. I mean, there's no monster,
right?
That's what's
weird.
There's no monster.
There's no monster. But is the monster their feelings? I don't know. Like,
it's
choices.
Dean. It's Dean too, right?
It's Dean the monster. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to think about there, but we also get Claire Novak, so we get Claire brought in.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's an interesting storyline. I feel really bad for it. It's a sad ass storyline, but
no, it's a sad ass storyline. She's not had a good life.
No. All because of an angel, which makes it all the more fucked up, and it goes back to the angels are dicks, and it's very confusing.
No.
But yeah, there we go.
All right. Anything else?
Nope. That's all I got.
All right. On that note, then, cheers, Jack.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Be a Dick production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.